Okay, children, good morning, class 8. So let's continue with chapter number 17. Yesterday, we were discussing about the solar system and its planet. So 3 planets we had discussed: Mercury, Venus, and Earth. Why life is possible only on the Earth? We discussed the reasons also. And I want each one of you to write down in the points that why life is possible only on the Earth. So today we need to continue with the next part, next planet. We are going to read about Mars. The another name for Mars is Mangal. Okay, Akshat Sharma, kindly continue reading. The 4th planet, Mars.
Okay, ma'am. Mars, the next planet, the first outside the orbit of the Earth, is Mars. It appears slightly reddish and therefore it is also called the red planet. Mars has two small natural satellites,
So I think
Mangalyaan, Indian Space
wait.
Research Organization,
अच्छा, कहाँ पढ़ रहे हो?
and Mangalyaan.
Acha, okay, continue. It's not given on the screen, which the PDF I
Indian
had shared.
Space Research Organization (ISRO) launched India's first Mars orbiter mission, Mangalyaan, on November 5, 2013. It was successfully placed into an orbit of Mars on September 24, 2014, with his India become the first country in the world to do so in its first attempt.
Okay, so 2014, the India become the first country to do the attempt on the Mars. So one of the question, children, you can underline the dates. Even this is not written in this book. Maybe in few of the books, it will be written.
They are not written in our book.
No problem. You can also find it out. 2004 in 2014, that was the India become the first to give attempt for the Mars. And one more question is there: why Mars is known as a reddish planet? Why it is known as reddish planet? It appears slightly reddish, so that's why it is known as a red planet. So there is a reason behind it, because the traces of iron oxide present on its surface. Kindly write down. Because of the traces of iron oxide present on its surface. Traces of iron oxide on its surface. Got it? That's why the Mars is known as a red planet. I hope it is clear to you, everyone. Next, let's continue about Jupiter. Okay, Imad, continue reading about Jupiter. Another name for Jupiter is Brihaspati.
Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system. It is so large that about 1300 Earths can be placed inside this giant
planet. यहाँ से giant planet.
However, the mass of Jupiter is about 318 times that of our Earth. It rotates very rapidly on its axis.
You can read this box also.
I have an idea. If you take a large ball which can accommodate about 1300 pieces, then the ball will represent Jupiter and the 1 pea will represent the Earth.
So children, I hope it is clear with you that Jupiter is the largest planet. Okay. And how much large it is? It is larger as we add 1300 Earths. Okay. 1300 Earths will be added. It is much bigger as that. Okay. And it is about 318 times that of our Earth. So here is an example given to you that if we collect the peas, मटर के दाने अगर हम collect करते हैं 13, then what happens? Around 1300 peas. Then the ball, जो ball represent होगा, that Jupiter and 1 pea will be representing the Earth. 1p is equal to the Earth, and if we are collecting or making a ball with the help of 1300 p's, so that will be a Jupiter. So you can think now how much big that Jupiter is. Okay. So one of the question can be there that Jupiter is the name the largest planet. So Jupiter is the largest planet. Okay, continue reading. Yes, Tanya, read it. Or Varun. Afterwards, Varun, you will be reading.
Can I?
Yes, continue.
Jupiter has a large number of satellites.
One has to speak with her.
Jupiter has a large number of satellites. It also has faint rings around it. You can easily recognize Jupiter as it appears quite bright in the sky. If you observe it with the help of telescope, you can also see 4 of its large.
So children, as shown in figure 17.21, Jupiter has its four large moons. Okay, so we can see with the help of a telescope only. Next, Aditya, continue with the Saturn.
Can I read?
Ma'am, can I read?
Wait, beta, wait. Daily you are reading. Let's give a chance to the others also. Okay, Pravsith, read this Saturn. Varun.
Beyond Jupiter is Saturn, which appears yellowish in color. What happened? It's unique in the solar system. Is it's beautiful? Please scroll the screen.
See this. Read this also.
Bhujo has a naughty idea. If we imagine Saturn in a large pool of water, then it will float.
So I think it is very one more important fascinating feature about the Saturn is there. If Saturn is dipped into the water, it will be floating. So we need to find out the reason that why the Saturn will be floating. Okay. So one more fascinating thing about Saturn, two things we are going to discuss about the Saturn. Saturn that, okay, continue. It has the rings.
These rings are not visible with the naked eyes. You can observe them with a small telescope. Saturn has also a large number of satellites. One interesting thing about Saturn is that it is the least dense among all the planets. Its density is less than of water.
Okay, so I hope children you have got the answers of all these questions. That rings are not visible with the naked eye, but we can observe it with the help of telescope that has a large number of satellites. Saturn has large number of satellites. It has the rings around it, which makes it too beautiful. Okay. And one thing which question Bujo was doing, that if we put the Saturn into the water, what will happen? The Saturn will float. And you know which things float into the water whose density is less. So this
Less.
question may also be there, that why Saturn will float on the water. So the Saturn will float on the water because its density is less. Okay, got it? Yes, sir. Varun, have you read? Aditya Shah?
Yes, no, ma'am.
Varun, you can continue with Uranus and Neptune.
These Earth outermost planets of the solar system, they can be seen only with the help of large telescope. Like Venus, Uranus also rotates from east to west. The most remarkable feature of Uranus is that it has highly tilted rational
Tilted,
axis
highly
as
tilted.
a highly tilted rational axis.
Rotational
As a
axis.
result, in its orbital motion, it appear to roll number its side.
Roll on
The fir-
its side. So one more fascinating feature of Uranus is that it has a highly tilted rotational axis. As the Earth's axis are tilted at few of the angle at 23 degree, but जो Uranus है उसके जो axes हैं they are highly tilted. So as a result, its orbital moment, it appears to roll on its axis. Okay, when it rotates around its axis, it looks like that it is just rolling on its axis. Okay, next, Aditya Shah, Arav Sehgal, Saksham Vasanwal. Any one of you want to read, you can continue.
The
Yes,
first
yes,
four
Aditya.
planets,
Aditya Shah
Venus,
from here.
Earth, and
Continue,
am I
beta.
reading?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. The first four planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, are much nearer the Sun than the other four planets. They are called the inner planets. The inner planets have very few moons. The planets outside the orbits of Mars, namely Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are much farther off than the inner planets. They are called the outer planets. They have a rising system around them. The outer planets have large number of moons.
Okay. So children, there are 4 inner planets. Total 8 planets are there. Among first 4 planets are the inner planets, and next 4 are known as the outer planets. Okay. And outer planets has much more moons as compared to the inner planets. So first 4 planets कौन-कौन से हो गए आपके पास? Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. These 4 are known as the inner planet, and rest of the 4, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, they are known as the outer planets. Okay, is it clear? So till here we had read all the planets of our solar system. Now we will be continuing with the other members of solar system. Other than planets, there are different, much more members of our solar system are there. Okay, so let's continue with that. Yes, Tanya, start reading now. Arav Sehgal, Saksham was wait. Arav Sehgal, Saksham, Anya, Aditya, Prabsev, kindly switch on your cameras, children. Yes. And after that, Arav Sehgal, you will be continuing. Saksham Vasanwali one. Start, Tanya.
Some other members of the solar system, there are some other bodies which revolve around the sun. They are also a member of the solar system. Let us learn about some of them. Asteroid. There are large gap in between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. This gap is occupied by a large number of small objects that revolve around the sun. This is called asteroid. Asteroid can only be seen through large telescope.
Okay, beta, asteroid. So there is a gap between the Mars and Jupiter. You know, Mars is the 4th one, and after that Jupiter. Okay, there is a large gap. So these large gaps are filled with a large number that small objects which are known as a asteroids, which revolve around the sun. So you can underline the definition of asteroid, and the question can be there that where these asteroids are found. Where we can found these asteroids. Yes, Arav Sehgal, continue. So asteroids can be found in the belt of Mars and Jupiter. Okay. Next comes
Excuse me,
comets.
ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, the asteroids are only there in between Mars and Jupiter.
No, they are, many of them are found. Many of them are found in Mars and Jupiter only. Okay. There is a large belt between these. So maximum we can see there only, between the belt of Mars and Jupiter. Okay, continue, Arav. Next are the comets.
Okay, ma'am. Comets. Comets are also members of our solar system. They revolve around the sun in highly elliptical orbits. However, their period of revolution around the sun is usually very long. Long tail. The length of the tail grows in size as it approaches the sun. The tail of a comet is always directed away from the sun. Many comets are known to appear periodically. One such comet is Halley's Comet, which appear after nearly every 76 years. It was last seen tell when Halley's Comet will be visible again.
Okay, so this is about the comets. Comets are also the members of our solar system. They also revolve around the sun. Even the asteroids, they also revolve around the sun in the elliptical order, okay, or elliptical orbit. So Restes comet appears generally in as a bright head with a long tail. This you have to mark, beta. Bright head, as you can see here in this figure, 17.26, bright head with a long tail. And the length of the tail grows in size as it approaches the sun. Yes, Akshita? The tail of the comet is always directed away from the sun. So when it is moving towards the sun, the tail will be away from the sun. Okay. The tail is always away from the sun.
Ma'am, so shooting stars and comets are same.
No. Shooting stars are, we are going to study about in the next part. Shooting star are something else.
Ma'am, what is elliptical orbit?
Elliptical orbit means in the ellipse, like this. Let me draw an ellipse. You have not read yet about the ellipse. It's not a circular. ऐसे वाला ऑर्बिट, ऐसे वाली शेप जो एलिप्स की शेप होती है, जो एग की जैसे शेप होती है. एग कैसी शेप का होता है? It is not a circle. Oval shape. Oval shape you can say. Okay? Oval shape is the elliptical shape. So we can say that elliptical shape. Okay, got it now? Because as the
Yes,
all planets are moving, even all the planets are moving in the elliptical orbit. So elliptical is a shape. जैसे circular आपकी shape है, in the same way, this is a shape. Parabolic, this elliptical, parabola भी आपने अभी पढ़ा नहीं है, तो elliptical is also a shape. So one thing more you have, हाँ जी.
Ma'am, but I didn't understand. Ma'am, मतलब comets क्या होते हैं?
Comets, these all are the celestial objects. They are only the objects. They are the members of the solar system and appears generally as bright. Lagta hai, they appears like a bright head and a long tail. They also revolve. Beta, there are plenty of the things in the universe. Here we have taken very less. बहुत से ऐसे objects हैं which are moving around the sun, that are either made up of the gases. They are made up of the gases which revolve around the sun only.
Okay, ma'am.
And one of the comet we have taken or we have named it as a comet. They are bright head with a long tail, and always the tail is directed away from the sun. Okay? If we can see its tail, so it is always directed away from the sun. So many of the comets appears to be revolve around periodically around the sun, but here is one Halley's comet that is seen after 76 years. So when it was seen in 1986. Now you can add 76 and tell then what we can see it, when we can see it again, when it will be visible. One more superstitious is about the comet. Yes, Neha Jain, you can read. Superstitions about comets.
Some people think that comets are messengers of disasters such as wars, epidemics, and floods. But these are all myths and superstitions. Appearance of a comet is a natural phenomenon. We have no reason to be afraid of it.
Okay, so comets, there is no reason to afraid of it. Earlier there were too much of the this superstitions and myths were there, but no need to worry about it. Next, continue with meteors, meteorites.
Meteors and meteorites. At night, when the sky is clear and the moon is not there, you may something see bright streaks of light in the sky. Figure 17.27. These are commonly known as the shooting stars. Although there are not stars, they are called meteoroids. A meteor is usually a small object that occasionally enters the Earth's atmosphere. At that time, it has a very high speed. The friction due to the atmosphere heat it up, it glows and evaporates quickly. That is why the bright streak lasts for a very short time.
Okay, children, now the shooting star you are talking about, shooting star, what are there? That are not actually the stars. But what happens when they enter into the, वैसे तो वो they do not enter into the Earth's atmosphere. But when they enter into the Earth's atmosphere, then what happened? Due to the friction in the Earth's atmosphere, they glows and evaporate quickly. That's why we can see the streak for a very short period of a time. Okay? So these are known as the shooting stars. Some meteors are large and so they can reach the Earth's before they evaporate completely. The body that reaches the Earth is known as meteorites. They are the meteors only, but very few are there which enter into the Earth's atmosphere. They fall on the Earth, that are known as the body which enter into the Earth's atmosphere, that is known as the meteorites. So meteorites, how they are helping? They are helping the scientists to investigate the nature or the material from which they are made up of, or from which they have come, from which how they have formed. So this helps the scientist, but this does not happen quickly. नहीं होता ये. It happens once in a while. Okay. One thing more is there. Yes, and Akshita, you can read for the meteor showers.
Can I?
Okay, you read it. Any one of you can read.
Meteor showers. When the Earth crosses the tail of a comet, swarms of meteors are seen. These are known as meteor showers. Some meteor showers occur at regular intervals each year. You can find the time of their appearance from a scientific magazine or from the internet.
So you can see that whenever the meteor shower was there. Okay. So today we have read about the few of the planets, comets, asteroids,
Artificial.
and meteors we have read about. Okay. So up to here only, children. Rest we'll discuss tomorrow. Your last part is left, the artificial satellites.